As the stars journeyed across the heavens, many bonfires were kindled throughout the land of Eden, and their flames danced upon the darkened sky. The night was filled with laughter and merriment, with music from lyres and timbrels, and the earthlings did serve red meats, the flesh of the fowl, and fish from the waters deep. Wine was poured without measure, and beer foamed in golden vessels. And behold, the Anunnaki and the earthborn did drink and make gladness in their hearts. When the revelries ended, and the stars passed into slumber, the noble Anu and his queen Antu rose and gave thanks to their children of earth. With great honor and reverence, they were led by the Anunnaki to the inner chambers. There they rested and reclined upon beds woven of gold-threaded linen, and for 5 days and 5 nights they slumbered in peace, as the earth spun quietly beneath them. But lo, on the 6th day, as the sun rose above the horizon, and the birds sang anew, Anu arose from his rest and summoned his sons, Enlil and Enki, and his daughter Ninhursag, to appear before him. They entered into the great chamber of audience, bowing before the throne of Anu. And Anu lifted his voice and spake, "Tell me, ye mighty ones of earth, what hath come to pass in the days of your labour? What fates hath befallen man and God alike?" On the 6th day of the royal visitation, Anu sat upon his throne of judgment, and before him stood Enlil, the commander, Enki the wise, and Ninhursag, the mother of life. And lo, they began to recount unto the ancient king the deeds and tribulations that befell the earth in his absence. First spake Enki, saying, "O my father, hear the tale of sorrow and wrath, of rebellion and redemption, of stone and fire. In the land of Chem, where the 2 great peaks rise like arms to the sky, the seed of jealousy begat a war among the gods, and Marduk, my son, was taken and entombed within the great house of stone. Yet by the counsel of thy daughter Ninhursag was his life spared, and he was delivered forth and sent into exile to a far and wild land." Then Enlil rose and declared, "I too shall speak the truth before thy throne, O king of Nibiru. When the time of the great deluge drew nigh, I decreed that mankind, fashioned in our image, should be swept away in the waters of wrath. And I bound the Anunnaki with an oath that none should warn the earthlings, neither by sign nor whisper. But thy servant Enki did find a way, for by speaking unto the reed wall he gave wisdom unto Zeusudra, and so a remnant was saved. And lo, from that remnant did mankind spring anew, and did multiply and replenish the earth. Yet the lands were changed, O Father, and the mines of the Abzu were buried beneath the mud of the sea." Then spake Ninhursag, "But by thy favour new land was found beyond the great waters, where rivers flowed with gold, and the hills brought forth precious stones without digging. There did Ninurta and the righteous among us establish a new path to the heavens, and there did we raise a platform to greet the ships of Nibiru, and send forth the bounty to heal thy skies." Ninhursag, mother of the earthborn, lifted her voice and spoke. "O lords of heaven and earth," said she, "surely it was not by the will of flesh alone that Galzu appeared unto us, but by the command of the one who is above all thrones and dominions, the Creator of all." The Anunnaki marveled at her wisdom, for they discerned that Galzu was not born of Nibiru, nor sent by any counsel, but a divine emissary, unseen and eternal, sent forth with purpose from the hand of the Most High. Then Anu, most ancient of kings, lifted his eyes to the heavens and gave utterance unto this truth, saying, "Though we of Nibiru have set decrees upon the earth, and though we have shaped the destinies of men, yet have we been guided by a will higher than our own. For behold, the hand of destiny moveth unseen. We are not the authors of fate, but its servants, not the masters of earth, but its stewards, The earth is given unto the Earthlings, and their inheritance is of divine design. Let us then walk in humility, and fulfill the charge that is upon us, to uplift, not to enslave, to enlighten, not to destroy, to preserve, not to profane. Then Enki, the wise, who brought forth Adapa and Ziusudra, bowed his head and said, "So let it be. I shall not shrink from this calling." The Anunnaki Council gathered in solemn unity and resolved to establish cities among men, cities of teaching, craft, and wisdom. And in each city was a sacred precinct prepared, a house for the gods, wherein knowledge would be poured like living water. On that day, the spark of civilization ignited upon the plain of Shumer, and knowledge was multiplied among the Earthlings. And this was the beginning of the age of kings, and of scribes, and of watchers of the stars, for the gods dwelt among men, and the wisdom of the heavens was written in the clay of the earth. After the council of Anu, that the Anunnaki turned their eyes upon the earth once more, to establish order among the sons of men. And the gods said unto one another, As it is in the realms of NIBIRU, so shall it be upon the earth. Kings shall rise to govern, and priests shall serve the sacred. Then did Enlil decree the ordinance of kingship, and Enki fashioned the symbols thereof, a crown of rule and a scepter of authority. And they said, Let man be chosen among men wise and just, and let him wear the crown as one who walks between God and man. They anointed the first king with oil, and placed upon his brow a golden circlet. They placed in his hand a rod of judgment, so that he might rule with wisdom and might. The king was charged to speak the words of the gods unto the people, and to carry out their decrees in the land. Thus kingship descended from heaven, and man was made a shepherd over his brethren under the gaze of the Anunnaki. Moreover, the priesthood was appointed in every sacred city, and the priests were taught to serve the gods in purity and reverence. They ministered at the temples, they burned incense, they offered sacrifice, and they kept the sacred calendar of the stars. The lords of the Anunnaki bestowed unto them the secrets of heaven and earth, the movement of the lights in the firmament, the patterns of the stars, and the cycles of the sun and moon. They taught them the sciences and the measures, the knowledge of healing and the words of law, that civilization might flourish among men. To every region was given a guardian god, a lord among the Anunnaki, to dwell in the temple and be honored by name. Thus rose the gods of nations, Marduk in Babel, Ningirsu in Lagash, Nanar in Ur, and many more, each ruling in the likeness of the heavens. The precepts of life were carved into stone and written upon scrolls, so that men might learn righteousness and walk in the path of order. In the land of Bharat, India, the wise remembered the ordinances as Yama and Niyama. In the lands of the Hebrews, they were called the 10 Commandments. After the kingship was lowered from the heavens, and the priesthood established among men, the mighty Anunnaki gathered in council to divide the earth by decree and portion it according to their will. The lords of the earth said, Let us appoint 4 sacred regions, 3 for the dwelling and governance of mankind, and 1 reserved unto the gods alone. The first region was called Eden, the land of the rivers between, where the great waters of Hiddekel and Perat flowed, even the Tigris and Euphrates. Unto Enlil and his seed was this land granted, and he built cities thereon, Nippur and Shurupak and Erech. And from these did law and command proceed. The second region was the land of the 2 Narrows, whose waters stretched from the upper heights of Cush unto the mouth of the great sea, the Nile of the south. This land was given unto Enki and his sons to rule over Mizraim and the lands of the black soil. There they raised up mighty temples and the pyramids that reached the heavens. The third region was far away, beyond the mountains and the great deserts. In the east, a land of wide rivers and fertile valleys, which men call the Indus. Inanna, daughter of Nanna, fierce and radiant, was made the queen of this land. She built therein great cities and temples to her name, and taught the people to weave and to war. The fourth region, unlike the others, was not given unto man, but set apart and consecrated for the Anunnaki alone. This was the sacred Sinai, called Tilmun, the place of the chariots, where the flying ships of the gods did rest. There stood the platform of ascent and descent to the heavens. In that land was the abode of Ninharsag, the great mother of creation. Her son Ninurta built for her a house among the mountains, a place of springs and shade trees. There also Utu, son of Nanna, was appointed to keep watch, the radiant one who lights the way, guardian of the launch towers and the codes of the stars. Before Anu and Antu would return to the heights of NIBIRU, the king longed to behold the face of his exiled grandson, Marduk. The heart of Anu was heavy with sorrow, for he began to blame himself, saying, "Have I not caused his rebellion by favoring his brothers Dumuzi and Ningishzida?" Anu and his queen Antu journeyed throughout the Eden to behold the fruit of the labors of the Anunnaki upon the earth. When they entered into Eridu, the city of Enki, the raised platform, and the house of the waters, Anu lifted his voice in praise of Enki, saying, "My son has built a house of splendor and adorned it with wisdom. From this place shall light and understanding shine forth to those who serve him." And it was so that Anu saw the order of Enki's abode, how he dwelt in majesty upon a raised platform, and the people lived round about him in peace and loyalty, serving and being served. And Anu said, "This is good." Thus Anu blessed the pattern of rule, whereby the king and his house guards the people, and the people serve the king, a covenant of protection and obedience. Enlil then made a complaint unto Anu, saying, "Lo, my brother Enki withholds the Me, the sacred formulas of power, of knowledge, and of law, and keeps them unto himself." Enki, hearing these words, relented in his heart and spake, saying, "So let it be. I shall no longer guard the Me as mine alone, but shall share the secrets of knowledge and governance with the other lords of the Anunnaki." For 17 days and 17 nights, Anu and Antu surveyed the 4 regions that had been appointed to the Anunnaki to govern the children of men. After they beheld the lands, the cities, the altars, and the sacred precincts, they returned to their majestic abode, prepared in the delightful place of the Eden. Now Anu, king of NIBIRU, beheld with great delight his great-granddaughter Inanna, the daughter of Nannar and Ningal, radiant and bold, fair and fierce. The heart of Anu was moved within him, for she walked with grace, and her voice was like a songbird in the morning. So pleased was Anu with Inanna that he spake unto her, saying, "Thou art a jewel among the stars, beloved in mine eyes. I shall bestow unto thee a gift of great esteem." He gave unto her his own sky-ship, with which he had traversed the 4 regions and surveyed the earth. And he said, "Let this vessel be thine inheritance, to soar as thou wilt across the lands and heavens." He then granted her his celestial abode, the house of majesty he had inhabited during his visit, saying, "Let it be thine, O Inanna, that thy name shall be exalted in this land for generations to come." Ninurta, son of Enlil and warrior of might, desired to gain favor in the eyes of his grandfather, the exalted King Anu. He journeyed across the great ocean unto the land of high mountains and the shining lake, a place of beauty and abundance, where the skies were bright and the waters reflected like crystal glass. And upon the shores of the great mountain lake, Ninurta built for Anu a dwelling most wondrous. He hewed great blocks of stone and lined them with gold, each cut with skillful hand. And into the carnelian stones did he carve lilies and blossoms of splendid design, that the walls themselves might sing the praises of the earth's bounty. The dwelling shone like the sun, and was adorned with treasures of the earth, and its chambers overlooked the tranquil waters of the mighty lake, Titicaca. There the royal couple, Anu and Antu, walked in wonder and were led by Ninurta to the riverbeds, where he showed them the gathering of gold. Lo, the nuggets of gold were as pebbles in the stream, and the waters ran over them as if offering them freely to the hand. Anu lifted his voice and said, "Great is the provision of this land. Surely the gold of these waters shall suffice for many showers to come." As Anu and Antu walked in the land beyond the sea, Ninurta led them unto a hill of stones and fire, where the metals of the earth were smelted and purified. There did he show them the mound of smelting, where gold was refined as with fire, that it might be sent to the heavens in ships of flame. Then lifted Ninurta a gleaming bar and said, "Behold, O King and Queen of NIBIRU, a new metal have we uncovered from the bowels of the earth. Its name is Anak, and it is the metal called tin." And he spake further, "By the wisdom of the Anunnaki have I joined Anak with copper, and forged a mighty alloy, which is strong and enduring. The colour thereof is as the yellow-brown of ripened grain, and its strength surpasseth both metals alone. It resisteth the flame, and endureth much labour." The name of this new alloy was bronze, and it was counted a marvel in the eyes of Anu and Antu, for never had such a thing been seen upon NIBIRU. Ninurta spake, saying, "We have made the bronze to bear the burdens of war and peace alike, tools for labour and weapons for battle, vessels of beauty and strength for the ages to come." Anu beheld the wisdom of the earth-born gods and marvelled, saying, "Truly, the earth is a land of wonders. The hands of our children have wrought a new age.